People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in. Now, I wanted to do a quick video, but mainly off the back of Hull City's, Hull FC, whatever you want to refer to them as. Apologies, Hull fans, but their 3-0 victory over Ipswich. You know, you've got Mallik Wilks. I always mispronounce his name. Now, he's a player I've known for the last couple of years. Not that I've been waxing lyrical about him. I believe he was on loan at, I'm sure he's been at Doncaster in some capacity. He used to obviously play for Leeds, and he's been at Barnsley. I like him a lot. He's 21 years of age. He's playing in League One. People might say, oh, what's he got to do with Arsenal or Premier League? Football's weird, you know. Players can develop, and I do see, I wouldn't say a late developer, but I do think there's something in there with him. If he could just be polished, I don't see why one day in the next couple of years he can't play in the Premier League in some capacity. I'm not saying he's going to play for City and things like that, but you know, you look at Ollie Watkins, you look at Jamie Vardy, you look at, you know, Ben White. There's been players that have been in League Two or been on loan there, Ben Godfrey, that have been in these lower leagues on loan or permanently and then taken to that life, you know. So sometimes you've got to take a chance, and I like what I see from Mallik, you know. Last season, I don't know his statistics, but I'm pretty sure he was in double figures. I like him, you know. He can play on the left, play on the right. Whole fans know him more better than me and where he's played more and whatnot, but from what I see, very strong with his left foot, you know, left-footed, very strong dribbler, not afraid to stand you up 1v1 and try and beat you, very unpredictable in that regards, can do the skills and the party tricks, you know. End product can obviously improve decision making, that final ball, all of that can be craft. He is very raw. That's the one thing I get from watching him. He's raw, but I like him. He reminds me a bit, not the same, but reminds me a bit of J. Emmanuel Thomas at Arsenal's academy. You know, he can stand you up, he can link up play, he can drift in and out, his movement's alright. He's just a bit raw with it, like he's a bit scatty with it, like he just needs to be polished. Like I said, end product, you know, out of 10 times I need you to make that pass 9 times, you know. He'll make it about 6 times. It's not good enough to get it, you know. Defensively, can we improve? Consistently, can we do it every week? You know, his personality, I like it, man. He's a bit fiery. I like that. I know he's from Leeds, but he's a man from ends. I like that about him, but that can go against him, you know. And I'm sure a lot of you, you know, when you type his name in, I don't want to speak about it and I don't care about it, but you know, things will go against him when you see the suspended sentence, when you hear things of being a hothead. I don't like to judge man for these things because I was never a footballer, but these are things that I've seen about me one day, not obviously being spared jail and whatnot, you know, not that extreme, but the preconceptions about attitude and all of these things. This is why I don't like to take them against players, you know. I genuinely feel he can be as good as he wants to be, and I think he's got a lot of talent to go far in the game. You know, it's down to him. Potential is just potential. Potential is what you do with it. It's like giving you some spring onions, some seasoning, some chicken and the rest of it. You know, I can give you all these ingredients, and it's ingredients to have a nice meal. But what level of meal you make with that and how good it is down to you and your enthusiasm for cooking. If you don't really care for this, you're just going to do some scattergun thing and it's going to be rubbish. If you care for it, you know, you're going to have a good meal and you're going to like what you're doing. I think he's a good player, man. He's 21 years of age, so again, there's a lot of development to be done, and he is behind in a couple of aspects, but he started the season well. You know, it's for someone who's always, they always talk about his discipline. He's only got 2 yellow cards, and in League One, 5 goals in 10 appearances, which is very good for him, people. Very good for him, you know. Apparently Hull have an option of another year. In all comps, in 14 games this season, he's got 7 goals. So in the league, he's scored in half. In the FA Cup, he's scored in half, people. I'm trying to find historically his goals. You know, again, there's still a lot of development to be done. In 55 appearances for Doncaster, he got 16 goals and 12 assists, which is very good. For Barnsley, 16 appearances, 1 goal. You know, he only made 6 appearances for Grimsby, failing to score, and he only made 1 appearance for Leeds. You know, for Hull City, in 33 appearances, he's got 12 goals, 1 assist. So he's had a hand in 13 goals in 33 games. So there's been 20 odd where he hasn't affected the game per se. He made 33 appearances in the Championship, getting 6 goals. He made 25 appearances in League 2, scoring 3 times. In League 1, he's played 56 times and got 19 goals and 8 assists. So you can't, at 21 years of age, you know, he's got a decent you know, it might not be the glamorous, but in terms of games played, career appearances and experience, he's not inexperienced. So I do think there's something raw with it in him. I think there's a player with him that he could do a lot, man. And you know, Hull know about these wingers and these sort of players. These, you know, they've had Jarrod Bowen before him and things like that, and made a little profit on him. I'm sure they'll make one with Mallik as well. Mallik, apologies, I'm not too sure on how he likes his name to be pronounced. I think he can go as far as he wants to be, people. And I think for him, he needs to try and get like 20 league goals. I think he's shown that he can get that, and then do it again. And I think if he does that, you know, with all due respect, if Hull don't get promoted, I don't think he'll be there. I think championship teams will take a punt on him, you know. Then there might be them championship teams who get promoted, you know. For me, if I wouldn't mind a Brentford taking a chance on him, people. I think Brentford would be a good club for him. Speaking of Brentford, you know, Toney, former Newcastle lad and Northampton striker, Pete made his name really at Peterborough for me. I'd be surprised in January if Brentford aren't fielding offers for him. You know, Brentford sold Ben Rama and Ollie Watkins, and it's like they ain't missed them to a degree. You know, I think they'll field offers for him. Will they let their man go in January? I'm not too sure. You know, he's won a couple of Player of the Month awards and things like that, and he's spoken previously of he believes he's a Premier League footballer. He wants to play at the highest level, and if you don't have that sort of thinking, you shouldn't be playing football, which is 100% facts. I also think Adam Armstrong of Blackburn is a player people will take a punt on. Another Newcastle striker, and you know, if you're a Newcastle striker and you've come out of Newcastle as a striker, whether you've come from their academy or been involved, I always look at you. You know, there's one thing Newcastle know their strikers, people, and he's needed a couple of years to really find his feet. I call him the White Defoe because I think he's a bit like that. He knows how to score goals. He's a bit of Defoe and Kevin Phillips for me. You know, he can drop deep and create as well. You know, he makes good runs off the ball. He's aggressive with his runs. He comes alive in and around the 6-yard box. Instinctive striker. You know, can score with his left, can score with his right, can score the glamorous goals, can score the little tap-ins. You know, they all count, people. There's no point scoring 10 long ranges if you're only going to score 10 a season. You know, I'd rather 20-man, 30-man a league striker who's going to get me tap-ins. People will say they're only tap-ins. I'd say you don't get brownie points for scoring goals, you know. I just care about the 3 points. I don't care about goal of the month and YouTube compilations. And I think at 23 years of age, at Blackburn, he's finding his feet, people. And shout out to Harvey Elliott of Blackburn as well, because he's doing quite well there. He's contracted until 2022. You know, I do think teams could do a lot worse than him. I do think there'll be offers for him. He's got 12 in 12, people. In fact, he's had a hand in 13 goals in 12 appearances if you count the 1 assist, people. So he's doing what he can, man. Again, when you look at his historical stats, there's still a lot of development to be done. You know, in the Championship, 158 games played, 40 goals, 16 assists. So 56, a hand in 56 goals in 158. You know, in the Premier League, he played 15 times with 1 assist, which I'm sure not many fans outside of Newcastle will remember. In League One, he done quite well. You know, he had 29 goals and 7 assists in 61 appearances. You know, club basis, he was on loan. Well, he made 21 appearances for Newcastle, getting 3 goals. Well, 3 assists, not bagging. Basic transfer market is saying. Bolton, when he was on loan, I believe, or he could have went permanently, 3 goals in 23. For Barnsley, 6 goals and 4 assists in 35, so again quite poor. Coventry, again, he found his feet to a degree, 40 appearances, 20 goals, 5 assists. And for Blackburn, so far in 131 appearances, he's got 48 goals and 15 assists. So within the last 2 clubs he's went at, he's done his thing. And obviously he gained a hat-trick in, you know, I'm sure you remember his hat-trick against Wickham. You know, he's got braces, obviously, against his former club Coventry and Reading. You know, he done well against QPR. He didn't score against Luton, but I think he did quite well against them off the top of my head, you know. I think he's gonna have a great career, people, man. I don't think there's much stopping him from playing at a higher level and things like that. You know, I'd hope Newcastle have a buyback clause or a sell-on clause, because he is going to make a healthy profit. And I think there are little players in the Championship. There's players I haven't mentioned now, and I will do at another date. You know, there's little players in the Championship. When you look at half of these players, you know, you've got to take a chance on them before they get, at least, well, none of this links to Arsenal, but a couple clubs need to take chances on players before, you know, before they go elsewhere. Because I think you look at Jarrod Bowen, he's adapted well to, he's not setting the world alight at West Ham, but he's a player I don't feel is getting his flowers in the league. Like I said, he's not setting the world alight, but I think he's playing quite well. Obviously there's Ben Rama. If we're all real, you know, Ben Rama's a great player. I haven't heard too much noise from him at West Ham, but I think there are players in League One, in the Championship, you can take a chance on people. And at the end of the day, I know people say, oh, it's only Championship, it's only this, it's only that. It's football. The levels don't change too tough, you know. It's really off the ball and taking your chances that really change. If you're a good thinker, if you're always processing information, I think you can play at any division, any level. And that's what I try to look for in players. I think when there's players where, you know, they're relying on just strength or just pace or you know, just something like that, they're going to become unstuck somewhere. Do you get it? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, you know. If you've got pace, if you've got strength, but you've got a brain, I don't mind that. Like, I see plenty of players, you know, that could be brutes in the Premier League or elsewhere, but they only use their strength when they have to. They're trying to use this because they know you're going to only get to a level. And I see that with younger players. You see players that are faster, stronger, more, you know, stronger dribblers than anyone. Sooner or later, you know, you find a level where you struggle. And that, you know, if you don't find a level you struggle, you're not developing enough. But when you don't rely on one single facet of your game, you're more adaptable and you're a better all-rounder. So yeah, this was only meant to be about Hull's Mallik, but I started talking about Ivan Toney of Brentford, former Peterborough lad, and we went on to Armstrong. But either way, I think all three of these players are players that can have decent futures at some level, and I don't see why Premier League clubs within the next 18 months or so won't take chances on these players. But that's all I wanted to say, people. On that note, I'm going to get out of here. It's always a pleasure. DG.